welcome to Scot Ferrell Show. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you're having a great day. Wherever you are in the world, I hope it's great. Now, got an action-packed show today, at least I think so. We got a lot of questions to answer, a lot of problems to solve. You know, as my wife always says, I'm the wake-up call you never asked for. At least that's what my clients will say to me sometimes. Sometimes there's other words attached, but that's normally the gist of it. But today we have a theme. Okay, I like to have shows with themes. And today's about communication. I got a new book coming out, What Men Don't Get About Women. I've managed to, this week, do a roundtable with ladies. It was very entertaining. I'll go over some of that. And last night I did a show with a three-panel lady show. It'll be on all of our social media coming up. But the gist was, for 15, 20 minutes, they ask me any question they want to, and their callers, and I answer them. And it's centered around marriage, communication, love, and I think one was dating. So our goal is to get you all the answers you need to your questions. Nobody needs to go through life without information. It's amazing. We have the most information available at any time in the world's history, and we have the least amount of knowledge. It's amazing how much we have. I guess it was great. I had Grandma and Grandpa, and Grandma and Grandpa seemed to be right about everything. As Josh Pate says, his meemaw seems to know more about life than any person, and I'll have to agree. I think mine did too. But the first segment of our show today is going to be about communication. I just looked up what communication means in Webster's, right? It means dissemination of information, right? Is that true? Is communication just disseminating information? No. It's providing information, making sure the individual receives the information and is able to give feedback on the information. If we were in Psych 101, we'd probably delve into multiple theories on this. But most people, unfortunately, do think if I got my point across, then I've communicated. Well, no, that's not how that works. Did the person receive it? And were they able to build upon what you gave them? And did we have a equitable, shared conversation or point of view or whatever you want to call it about the topic? And if that's not the case, then we've done nothing. We haven't communicated. We may have berated, we may have barraged somebody with information or inundated or overwhelmed them with information, but we ain't communicating. And that's half the problem with relationships. And when I say relationships, I mean your boss, people you work with, people you play ball with, people in your family, your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, doesn't matter, kids. We've got to figure out what communication really is. Now, how did I do that? I was blessed. I had a great mentor. My mentor taught me so much. He put me through a lot for 3 solid years. He was a blessing in my life. And when he met me the first time, he goes, "Ooh, we got a lot to work on here." So he spent 3 years getting it out of me and making me a mini-me of him. But the thing he taught me the most was about communication. And we worked with kids with varying disabilities, from autism to severe and profound. You name it, we did it. And you have to be an effectual communicator. Let me explain this to you. We used to have to teach kids how to toilet. Now, this is 35 years ago. So you take kids to a urinal. I remember the first time I did it because he wanted me to try to see if I had learned anything from him. So I lined the boys up, and you're trying to teach a child to not sit anymore, but more freedom, least restrictive environment, teach them how to use the urinal. So okay, communication, right? So what was my first thing? What I should have done was, okay, stand in front of the urinal under your pants. What did I do? Everybody turn and look at me. What do you think happened? Yep, that's what happened. I ended up with squeaky shoes, squeaky pants. That day, I forgot to bring an extra set of clothes. So I was covered in urine because I did not effectively communicate. So it's no wonder that so many arguments, so many disagreements, so many business deals go south. So many, look at, right now our president's negotiating with crazy people in Iran. So many things don't take place because we don't effectively communicate with each other. Even though we think we've got our point across, right? We're more concerned about our point than we are about dissemination of information for them to grasp a hold of and then operate with. Well, that day I thought I had communicated effectively right up until I got soaking wet. And then I realized, nah, not so much. Didn't do a very good job with that. And to illustrate communication, to illustrate marriage, because why do spouses fight normally? Communication or lack thereof, or one trying to get their point across or berate the other one with a point, and this is every marriage. It was funny talking to the panel of ladies I had the other day at Dirt Pour Coffee. Speaking of, good time to mention my sponsor, Dirt Pour Coffee, the greatest coffee on the planet. They get me fueled up for every single show, actually every single day. And the great thing is, it really is some of the best coffee I've ever tasted, because I've tasted coffee all over the world. I'm a coffee snob, as you would say, and the coffee's exquisite, and the people that work there are even better. You go in, you can have a down day, you go in, you feel automatically better. I know some days if I've got a headache, I don't feel good. I'm dragging. I go in just to feel better. It's that type of place. It's a neighborhood place to where you feel like you know the town when you go in there. So it's absolutely wonderful. So Dirt Pour Coffee. Here's the wonderful logo. There you go. I'm the only one with this cup, so don't ask for it. I'm special. Heather made sure I got that. So Heather's the owner. She's wonderful. Go by and see Heather and the girls. You won't regret it. And they also have wonderful muffins, chicken salad, and a whole bunch of stuff I'm allergic to. But you're not, so you go get it and enjoy yourself. All right. We've got a clip coming up. I'll have them showing in a minute. When I talk to couples, I'm a pastor. So when I talk to couples, I'll go, okay, here's how you were programmed. You had one set of rules and regulations in your house. You had another. Your parents communicated differently than his parents or her parents. So you're going to have to develop your own communication style system that's effective. If you don't, I'm going to have a different conversation with you two when you get divorced. Because most breakdowns, people say, I fell out of love, or this, whatever. It's normally a breakdown in communication, appreciation, and respect. But if you can't communicate, you can't gain the other ones, because if you can't receive, you can't be respected, you can't be appreciated because you can't communicate. So, all right, guys, go ahead and roll that first clip and let everybody take a look at what I'm talking about.
Whoa. What's all that about? You mad at me or something?
I don't know. Did you do something to make me mad? Because then I am. But if you didn't, then I am not.
I didn't do anything.
Then I am not mad. I am mad.
I can't tell you how many times I've lived this. For one, I dated a lot of girls from Latin America, so I've learned how to disseminate Spanglish. But two, I think I'm the one guy that's been mad at in 15 different languages, from Farsi to Pidgin. But how clear was that to Al Bundy? What's this real? Ed O'Neill. How clear was that? Well, I am mad, but I'm not going to tell you. I am mad, but you're going to have to figure it out. If you don't know, I'm not going to tell you. All right, let's break this down. Okay, she is mad, clearly. Now, I know it's for comedic gesture, because Ed O'Neill's absolutely hilarious. And if you ever get a chance to see him on Broadway, go, because he's a phenomenal actor, even though he played a dumb character in Married with Children. So how effective was that? Right? Nothing got solved, did it? He thinks he's done nothing wrong, even though he has, and she's still mad. And then what's she going to do with the anger? Well, there's going to be resentment, and there's going to be huffing and puffing around the house. How many days, how many weeks? I've seen this last months with couples before they'll come see the pastor. And nothing gets solved. So let's break this down. How would that work at, let's pick 6 things that we try that on, right? All right, so go to a restaurant. Do you want anything to eat? Well, if you don't know, I'm not going to tell you. Okay, you're going to get escorted out by the cops. Let's go try it on your boss. All right. When's this report coming? Well, if you don't know, I'm not going to tell you. Okay, again, you're going to be unemployed. Let's try it with your mom or dad. Again, mom and dad are going to scream at you, right? Let's try that with a police officer. He's pulled you over for a ticket. What's your name? If you don't know, I'm not going to tell you. You try it with your best friend. It doesn't work. So why do we do it? So why do women, men don't do that. We don't go, if you don't know, I'm not going to tell you. If we're mad, we're just going to tell you. You know, it's why guys can be in a bar, we can slug each other in the face, and 15 minutes later, we're drinking a beer together. It just is what it is. It's the difference in sexes. But how do we fix that? All right, well, you're a product of your environment. Like I said, she's in one environment, the way she was raised, 0 to 7, that's how humans get programmed. He's raised in another environment. Now, let's look at this. He thinks he's done nothing wrong. She knows he has. Okay. When you call customer service, do you say, if you don't know, I'm not going to tell you, or do you say, hey, I've got this problem, here's how I want it fixed, and I want it fixed within this amount of time? At least that's how I approach things. Because okay, here's what's wrong, here's how I want it fixed, here's how much time you have. Okay, that's fair. All right, so why don't we try that when we're mad at somebody? Okay, I'm mad about this, or this took place. Here's how I want it solved. So now he's got a formula, he's got a blueprint, and here's how long you have to do it. Okay. All right, my wife and I do this. She'll go, okay, I don't like the tone, you need to change your tone, or whatever it is. I can be right, but I used the wrong tone, so I'm still wrong. And then she goes, here's what you did, here's how I want to fix, here's how much time you have. All right, I'll do it. When we get married, aren't we happily ever after as we are sold? That's all possible. My wife and I don't really argue. Here's why. We put safeguards in because I almost passed away 10 years ago. I was terminally ill. And our idea now is life's too short to argue with each other. Why destroy our days with it? We both came from weird programming, right? My wife didn't grow up in perfect world, neither did I. I was raised by an Army guy. You can imagine what that was like. And my mom had bipolar disorder, was an alcoholic. So you can imagine what our house was like. And my mother-in-law was a piece of work. I'll just leave it at that. So we had our own ways to handle conflict, or lack of ways. And the great thing was my mentor got it out of me when I was in college, where I had, to this day, my wife is the worst client I've ever had. But I love her, and she's fixed it all. I mean, it's like when I talk about her, I'm talking about 20-year ago wife, not now. But it always had to be worked out, because once you can figure out an effective communication system where everybody's on the same page and everybody's received valuable input, then you don't ever disagree again. It's like when I go into a company and I have to get sales to talk to engineering, because engineers are never wrong. Trust me, I was going to be an engineer. And salespeople are never wrong because they're the pompous jerks who make all the money, right? That's what people think. Well, what's the objective? We're all on the same team. Why don't we just communicate with each other? If I'm on the same team with you, then we win if we can communicate. So you develop rules of communication. Something's funky with my glasses today. That's why I'm keep messing with them. I'm having trouble seeing. And why not? Life's too short to go through disagreeing with everyone. It's a whole lot more fun when you can get on the same page, have disagreements. You're going to have disagreements. Good grief. I used to be a professional performer. You talk about divas everywhere. Good grief. But you just learn the objectives to make a great show, make the great show, and everything else just falls away. All right, so that's, if you've never seen that show, which I have never watched the show. I don't watch TV, and I've been in TV shows, never saw them. That's a good indicator of what's going on in most marriages. And most people I talk to, most couples that come to see me, that video is what really rings true for most of it. And in reality, a lot of that shouldn't be taking place, because look, man, marriage is marriage, love's great, and you can be blissfully in love every day. You don't have to get along all 24 hours, and not everything's going to be right. Not everything's going to be wonderful. You're not always going to feel good. But what's the objective? A wonderful, joy-filled marriage where you really can live a honeymoon every day. My wife and I do. So we're proof that it is possible, considering my wife was the worst client I ever had. All right, so look, she married this. How could she not be happy, right? That I say that in jest. I'm the one that married so far over my head, I don't know what to do. All right, so I'm going to wrap that up in a bow. We're going to leave that for right now. I've got a big chapter in my next book about that. So feel free, I'll let you know when that book's coming out. All right, now, next topic. I got this from someone this past week. Really heartfelt question. I didn't, to be honest, men don't really think about this. It's kind of a moment thing when we have to think about this topic. But the topic is, why do you need to shop? And what happened was a husband had asked his wife, why is it you need to shop? All right, guys, go ahead and throw that up there with Lucy for a second. I got a clip I want you to see.
Ricky,
Yes, dear.
if I'm going to Florida, I'm going to have to buy a lot of new clothes.
You're right.
I am?
Yes, here, honey.
Oh.
Buy anything that you want.
What happened to him? I don't know, but let's get to the store before he snaps out of it. Well, I promised little Ricky I'd get him a beach ball.
All right, you guys can go ahead and cut it off now.
See, those are volley.
All right, throw up the next meme that we have with the guy holding the girl's hand. There we go. All right, look at this. And this is me and my wife. Well, not literally, but figuratively. He's holding her hand in public. It's very important. It looks super romantic, but it's really just to keep her from wandering off and buying things we don't need. Okay, I live this. I live this meme, and the other video was my wife also. Why am I using Lucy clips? If you're Gen Z or Gen Y or millennials, look up the show. It was absolutely hilarious because Lucy was a physical comedian, where her timing was impeccable, and she was listed as one of the best physical comedians in history. But she handled life issues that every couple goes through. And it is true, my wife is the wife that needs to go out and get the whole new wardrobe, and I do this with my wife. If we go to Sam's Club, all the other stores, we go to a grocery store, I won't let go of my wife. I have to put a bell on her. Why? My wife can shop. She is a professional. She married, I'm not a tightwad, I'm thrifty. And courtesy of my dad taught me how to be thrifty. My dad was the one that walked around going, do we own the power company? Can somebody please shut a door? Is every light on in the house? And I've become my father, right? And we do become our parents, thanks to programming. But my wife, if she could go pro in anything, it would be spending money and shopping. However, my wife, I would put my wife up against any CFO on budgets and handling the money, right? So I'm not making fun of my wife. She's just really good at it. But why do women shop and men sort of don't? Or do men shop? Well, I went through every periodical I could this morning because I wanted to look up what periodicals were saying. Then I went to the Huffington Post. Then I went to Vogue. And I try to get varied articles on stuff like this. Well, let's go all the way back. What did men do prior to when we got fire? What did men do? We hunted. The object was to get the animal as quickly as possible, get back, get it dressed, get it cooked. What did women do? They gathered. All right? Who nests? Who doesn't? Women nest at home. Women create a home. It's just a house till a woman creates a home out of it. And that is true. Because if you let most men decorate, my first decorating, I was with two buddies. We had 3 lawn chairs, a stereo, a fridge. Yeah, that was it. And then we had the milk crates. You kind of have to be a teenager in the 60s and 70s. Everything were milk crates. So we had end tables, milk crates. We had a coffee table, milk crates. They worked good. That and soda crates that were wood. They worked well, man. And then you get a lava lamp and you get a shower curtain, you're all good. But why do women shop? All right, so is there a psychological component to this? Let's look at that. Are women socialized? All right, look at all the fashion magazines. Look at everything they go through. Let's look how we socialize girls. Do we socialize women to shop? Absolutely. Do we socialize women to spend money? Absolutely. Do the commercials target demographics? Absolutely. Got friends in the business. So why do we ask why they shop? If somebody doesn't want to go shopping, I'm probably going to ask, why don't you? Not why do you? Do men shop? Well, a lot of guys like to tell me they don't shop, but don't take them by Bass Pro Shop. Don't take them by the Apple Store. See, women tend to buy smaller and guys buy bigger. Don't take them to get a new truck, or you can tell I grew up because I grew up hunting, fishing, and I grew up in the middle of nowhere. What do you need? A new bass boat. What do you need? New fishing new equipment. What do you need? A new rod. What do you need? A new gun. What do it just, and those things cost quite a bit of money. Yes, my wife likes to shop, and I can pick on us as a couple. But I don't mind my wife shopping. It makes her happy. Retail therapy does make you happy. It makes dudes happy. Take a guy down to Bass Pro Shop and let him buy a new shotgun. You're going to see a beaming smile. So is it really gender specific? Sort of, but not really. We like to buy things. We just like to buy things in a different way. Here's how we do this. Give you an example. I used to take my son school shopping, right? I would already scout out everything, and our son was, well, I guess I can say it now. It's been so many years that passed. Our son was up to be the next Ralph Lauren model. This was years ago when he was a little boy. And so I'd take him to the Ralph Lauren store because I knew what he wore. So we could be in and out of that store. I timed us one time. We were in and out in 10 minutes. He was so happy. He came home and he goes, Mom, can we just shop instead of you going from now on? Because if his mom went, we were there an hour and a half. I remember one time we went to TJ Maxx. I told him, I said, just get used to this because this is the rest of your life, boy. We were at TJ Maxx 4 hours while she tried clothes on. 4 hours. Now malls in, I think, Singapore and Tokyo are putting in men's lounges in stores in the mall so ladies will stay longer and the guys don't get upset. I know at Nordstrom, if you go to Nordstrom, guys, or if you go to Neiman, they'll feed the guys. The lady went and got me a meal. She went and got me something to drink. She went and got me a chair. She got me a stool, and they offered to give me a massage. So my wife would not leave the store. It was beautiful. We weren't leaving anyway, but I appreciate all the extras. Now, psychologically, our people, we do what we're programmed to do. We program people to do certain things. I grew up in the country. What's the expectation? I go hunting and fishing. My dad programmed me to go hunt and fish. The women were programmed, well, out where the girls went with us and rodeo and ride horses and whatever else. But the girls I dated in town were programmed to go shop. Where'd you go every Friday and Saturday night if you were a teenager in the late 70s? Went to the mall. Walk around, buy some stuff. Talk to girls, right? Talk to boys, whatever it is. We're programmed to do certain things. So, guys, stop getting mad at your wife for shopping. Now, let's go into undertones of this. Why else? That's the happy reason why we shop. Why else would women go shopping? Well, a friend of mine owns a company in Palm Beach that supplies things to rich ladies. And some of those ladies get mad at their husbands and go spend money. Or their husbands get a new girlfriend and they go spend money. Or their husbands are ignoring them and they go spend money. So sometimes the shopping is a response to not receiving love, not receiving attention, not receiving respect, not receiving something, a basic need that they need. Look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Go above food, water, shelter. And that's where we are. A need's not being met at the home, so I'm going to retail therapy myself to receive an endorphin rush that I need. Okay, makes complete total sense. I had a guy come to me one time. I said, tell you what, bro, if you, other than cutting up the credit cards, if you want this fixed, man, why don't you tell your wife you love her? Why don't you take her on a date? Why don't you tell her she's beautiful? Why don't you try spending some time with her? Why don't you take her on a vacation? Why don't you just sit and go for a walk with her? Sit and hold her hand, watch a movie. That's going to be a whole lot cheaper than having to pay these credit card bills every month because you ain't much of a husband. It never dawned on him. See, if we don't get what we need, we will supply it, right? When I was a kid, I supplied the lack of love with drugs and alcohol and being a Satanist. That's how I was getting my so-called needs met. I wasn't, but look at rock stars. How do rock stars handle success and what they perceived was what they wanted? Drugs and alcohol. See, we will supplement, if we don't receive what we want, we'll supplement something else for it. It's just a matter of what that something else is. Do we have one more meme for that, guys? I try to pick out funny ones. Okay. I'm just going in for one thing, 20 minutes later. That is my wife. That's why I like to try a string on her and a bell. The bell so she doesn't get away, and the string is so she can't get away fast. Oh boy. How many people can say this is true, especially at a place called Sam's Club or any of these bigger retail chains? I'll go to the grocery store, because I do most of the grocery shopping, because I do the cooking. My wife can't cook. She was upfront about it before we got married, so I can't complain. But I got a good deal. My wife said, if you cook, we can have sex anytime you want to. I've been cooking 20 years. I never got angry about her not cooking. It was so funny. I was a high school coach when we got together. And all the coaches in my department all decided that they wanted my wife to talk to their wives, and they decided they would cook if they could have sex all the time. because they used to brag about how good of cooks their wives were, and they apparently wanted to have sex instead. Go figure. All right, so guys and ladies, if it goes past normal shopping, then we have an underlying issue that needs to be handled. But if it's just normal shopping, there's nothing. If you got money in the bank and you see something you want, why not purchase it? To tell you how much my wife's changed, we in Dirt Poor, right beside Dirt Poor is an antique shop, and my wife likes crystal. Oh, okay, I don't care. I think between the two of us, we have like 14 sets of china. We didn't buy them. Inherited, passed down through the generations. She went by this bowl for 5 weeks, and I said, sweetheart, why don't you buy it? Really? Well, yeah, just stop walking by it, stop asking me if it's still there. Just go purchase it. So finally she did. So now the shopaholic and all that stuff, that my wife's not that way anymore. And the thing about it is now if she goes shopping, she's buying for somebody else. My wife's really good about, hey, I think I saw something that she would like or he would like, and she'll go buy it for him. All right, so wrapping that up in a bowl, we're going to the next thing. All right, next topic, because I got these from folks out the other day. Don't you see what needs to be done? And guys, throw up that meme. Yeah, all right. Check this out, because this will be true for guys, right? Don't you see? Why don't you do what I asked you to do? Brain loading. Dang, chicken wings sound really good. Ladies, does this sound normal for you? Yeah, sure it does. Sometimes when ladies are talking to us or trying to respond with us, it's like talking to the dog. They're wondering if the dog really understood what they were saying or if we understood what they were saying. Do we listen all the time? No. Are we good at not listening? Yes. I watch a lot of British comedy, and I was watching one video. A guy named Stephen Toast. It was a created character in England, and he's on a date, and his date goes. Now he's eating, so remember this. He's eating, and his date goes, "Oh, by the way, I've got something I've got to tell you. It's our first date. I feel like I should be honest. I used to be a man. I've had numerous surgeries. Is that okay?" And he's just saying, yeah, to each his own. That's no problem. Hey, man, do what you got to do. Be you. Be you anytime. You got to be free to be you. So they close out the restaurant scene, and then they go to a bedroom scene. It's 3 weeks later. And they're snuggled up, kissing and hugging. And she goes, well, I can't believe you handled what I said the other night in the restaurant so well. He goes, well, that's great. Now, remember, what she said at the restaurant was, I used to be a man. He goes, that's okay. People from other countries are welcome. I know you're from Iran, and that's okay. And she goes, what did you say? He goes, well, it's okay if you're from Iran. I don't care. I've dated girls from all over the country, from the world. And she goes, no, I said I was a man. He goes, oh. So do we listen all the time? No. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that guys listen to every word that comes out of your mouth. Now, I like to lie to my wife and go, every morsel that falls from your beautiful lips, it just tinkles on my ear and it stays, and I capture it all in my heart. That's a lie. She'll go, are you even listening? I heard you, but I'm not really listening. Why don't men listen? Would be a better question. Why don't you do, because it goes to, why didn't you do what I asked you to do, and why aren't you listening? Kind of goes into one, right? And we've got another meme coming up because it rolls into another topic is, don't you see what needs to be done around the house? Because listening, seeing what needs to be done around the house, and getting it done are two different things. Guys, go ahead and throw that up there.
It's not full yet. See? Still not full.
Okay, that guy's pretty funny. He's got a whole thing on Instagram and doing videos like that and on YouTube. Is that true, ladies? Well, of course it is. And that's a real life scenario for my wife and I. My wife has an idea of where the garbage can should be, and I have one. Now, where's that come from? It again, go back to the questions. Can't you see what needs to be done? And why don't you listen to me? Kind of roll into one whole topic. Same thing. All right, so let's break down, ladies, before you get mad at your husband and shoot him for not doing housework or what you see and not taking out the garbage can based on what you see. Remember, we were raised completely differently. What was accepted in your home may have been different in his home. Here's my home. I'm raised by a guy that every single thing he talked about was in the Army, we did, right? My dad was very regimented. I tell people all the time, a movie you're going to want to watch if you want to know what my dad was like, watch The Great Santini. Robert Duvall, masterful performance in this movie. That's what my father was like. So it gives you a gist of what I grew up with. My dad was stoic. Didn't talk about, watch the movie. But my dad had, okay, we're not wasting garbage can space. We're not going to waste paper. Because when I was a kid, we didn't have plastic bags. We grew up out in the middle of nowhere, man. We used grocery bags from the grocery store, from the A&P. And so that had to be this full. And we lived out in the country, and my grandpa had a farm, so different scenario. My wife's raised in the city. Right? They had this expectation, and my family had this expectation. And the way we lived was completely different. My grandparents didn't get indoor plumbing till 1978. My wife grew up in the city. Remember this. So we bring that to a marriage. Okay? Yes, there's going to be conflict. Yes, there's going to be disagreements. No, we're not going to see it the same way. Do my wife, now she's gotten me into the flow of her. I'll go, is it at baby's level to where I need to empty the garbage now? And we make a joke out of it, but it is true. Because I brought one expectation, she brought another expectation of where just the garbage needs to be, and that video illustrates it. Oh, no, I can get one more thing in it. I can get one more thing in it. Nope, we don't need to take the garbage out yet. I can get one more thing in it. Where the ladies are like, no, that's it. Let's go ahead and get it out. See how little things can creep into your marriage and actually destroy it that you've not handled? Because these things can really get on your nerves. And these things can you get angry and angry and angry about the garbage. And then you're talking about the drapes and there's a blow up. When what you're really arguing about is still the garbage. Or you're arguing about something that happened to you when you were a kid, you're just taking it out on your spouse. It happens all the time because we're programmed. And then if we go back to the chicken wing thing, it's so funny. Why don't you do what I ask you to do? All right, number one thing that came up this past week during our group or during our focus group was, why can't you do what I've asked you to do, not in a timely manner, period? And what was the number one thing that came up? It's not a shock. It's actually came up in my research for the book was, why can't you clean out the garage when you say you're going to do it? I told you I'd do it 6 months ago. What's the beam? Get off my back. I told you I'd do it 6 months ago. Why can't you just do what I've asked you to do? That's a good question. Okay, I do what my wife asked me to do. If I remember it, I've got some issues with my head, so we're going to get those handled this week, actually. But she knows if I didn't do it, I didn't remember it. And if she'll just remind me, I'll knock it out. But a lot of guys, a lot of women, remember, I am a pastor, so people bring all their problems to the pastor, which they should. And then we talk about God's approach, their approach, And a lot of it is uncompleted task, not putting things the way they should be, the underwear on the floor. Now remember, ladies, we're going to try to pick it up with our toes and flip it in the air and catch it. It's just a competition. Let us do that. But I always tell men, the domain inside the home is hers, her rules. Ours is outside, normally. So if it's within the four walls of the home, she gets to set the rules. I don't get mad at my wife setting the rules in the home. It's she's the nester. She's the builder. I have a home because my wife created such a peaceful and wonderful environment. Well, I don't want to mess that up. My wife's happy when her environment is free of chaos and confusion. So if I do what she's asked me to do, I don't have chaos and confusion. And then she's nice, right? Because it rolls downhill. If she's unhappy, I'm unhappy. I used to tell the kids, if she gets mad at you, she's going to take it out on me, and then I'm going to take it out on you. So don't make your mama mad because it's going to roll downhill. Just understand that. And they finally figured that out. So let me break it down any farther for you, ladies, because I answer this question quite often, and I've got outlined it in the book too. but I want to get this across to you. If you can see it, so let's say that you just came home from work. Let's pan the scenario. And there's stuff over here in the living room. There's a little dust over there. The garbage is full. There's a couple dishes in the sink. And your husband walks right by them. But you can't function till they're handled. Okay? I'm talking about my marriage now because my wife's a little OCD. Not a little, but a lot. But I love her. And the great thing is, because she's OCD, everything looks great. My wife always makes her home look great. So I ain't getting in the way because everything looks beautiful and it's free of clutter because of her. So how in the world could I get mad about that? I'm willing to chip in. I don't see everything she sees. Why? Remember, men and women see the world differently. What we tolerate and what you tolerate are two different things. How we were raised is different from how you were raised. I always think about The Odd Couple. Again, Gen Z, Y, and Millennials. Look this up on YouTube. The Odd Couple. Tony Randall. Felix and Oscar live together. One's OCD. One's a sports writer who's the typical man who's a pig. And the show's absolutely hilarious because Tony Randall plays the wife, so to speak, is always trying to get Oscar to clean up after himself, dress better, not wear a shirt with stains on it, stop having card night with cigars and the boys over. You name it, it's hilarious. And also it was a piece of Broadway, and then they made it a TV show. I think that Broadway show is still playing all over the world. They've just took it on the road. It's pretty funny. But doesn't that sound like our lives? They're trying to make us domestic. As Roseanne Barr used to say, she's a domestic goddess. We were raised different. Keep in mind, though, we want to please you, and we'll do what you ask us to do. Are we always paying attention? No. Do we mean to do these things? No. Now, here's one thing you have to look out for. Did you marry Peter Pan? What I'm seeing now, and I didn't see it as much for people my age, I'm in my 60s now, is Peter Pan, the guy that mom never made him clean up. He never had chores. Moved into the frat house, somebody cleaned it up for him. And now he likes to play video games and not do any housework. And he wears a polo, khakis, and a puffy vest everywhere he goes. Because it's simple, or they gave him the free shirt, so he wears it everywhere. That's Peter Pan. He never grew up. Don't marry Peter Pan. Peter Pan's not going to make you happy because he never had any work ethic instilled in him. Remember something. If a kid's lazy, it's because he was allowed to be lazy as a child. I'm not. I was raised out of the middle of nowhere, man. All I did was work. I still get up to this day to tell you, I still wake up between 5:30 and 7 every day. Raised out in the middle of nowhere. You get up, you got to feed. Before school, you have to feed everybody. You have to water everybody. You go to school. When you get back home, you have to feed. You have to water. Before you go to bed, you have to feed. You have to water. You have to make sure everything's okay if you have animals. Just part of being out in the country. So a work ethic was instilled in me. Not everybody has one. All right, so couple all this, okay? So normally comes down to mama. He's not cleaning up the house probably because mama didn't make him. And I'm seeing a lot of kids now. It's like when our youngest, he's 27 now. He was the only kid in the neighborhood that had chores. Can you imagine that? The only kid in the neighborhood that had chores. He thought we were just awful people. And my wife made a checklist. So every day he'd come home from school, he'd take the clipboard off the wall, go through his chores, check, hand it to his mother, go play. He thanked us for that later because now he owns his own company. And he's doing so much better than all of his buddies because he has such a strong work ethic. You can't outwork the kid because he works so hard. So now, ladies, here's how you fix it. Sit down, have a meeting. I recommend family meetings once a week. I do it for my company, meet with the employees, meet with social media, meet with who I need to meet. We hash out everything, talk about the objectives, what do we need to improve on, what I need to improve on. We get it done. Sit down with your spouse, have a family meeting, get a whiteboard. That's what we use. What's our objective? A wonderful, happy, stress-free marriage. Okay, and home. How do we do that? What's our achievables? All right, what are we slack on right now? Okay, not listening, not cleaning up. Okay, how do we fix that? Okay, I'll verbalize what needs to be done, and then I'll do it. Okay, easy enough. And you set up the mode of operation for the home. Okay, if you see this, do this. Somebody said, well, why don't you take out the garbage? Okay, here's how you fix this. Designate the level of the garbage. Don't do like that guy and put it all the way to the ceiling. And then put it in a designated area, decide on that designated area, and then he will take it and put it out in the garbage can. See how easy this is? This does not have to be that difficult. The problem is we would rather complain about something than fix it. I hear people all the time. It's funny when I go out in public. People think I'm deaf, dumb, and blind. People really do think that I can't hear them nor see them. And I'm just sitting right down what I'm doing this. I'm that guy. I'm writing down what they're talking about so I can use it on the show. And instead of initiating a conversation and fixing the problem, they would just rather go get 5 friends and complain about it. That sounds like life in general, right? No, just fix it. So now, family meeting. Here's the 3 topics I got to address. Here's what's going on. Here's how I want it done. Okay. And when I told my wife that, I said, why don't you just sit me down and say, here's what's going on. Here's what I want done. And I go, I'll do it. I want to please you. I don't want you mad at me. Or if all else fails, just take your blouse off and let him see your tits, and that'll get his attention. I actually saw that meme the other day. All right, how to win an argument in under 3 seconds. Well, now I'm focused on something else and I'm really not listening. So that's not going to work, ladies. Well, it might to an extent, but now I'm focused on all the wrong things and I'm still not thinking about the garbage or cleaning the house. So see how easy this is? If you make a decision to fix something, it's fixable. It's that simple. Just sit down. Hey, man, we got to work on this. I don't want to argue about this. Let's just get it done. That's how I run. That's how I do discipline. Kids do something. Hey, man, you broke the rule. Here's the punishment. Let's move. That's the way I was as a high school teacher. You know what rule you broke. Y'all made them. They're on the board. You know what the punishment is. We got stuff to do. No hollering, no anger, nothing. Just get the job done. All right. So now we're getting to the mailbag. Now, keeping in mind, guys, can you flash that up there, how to get to the mailbag? Every show, I go to the mailbag. What's that? Well, it shows you how old I am. The mailbag is patterned after when people used to see the mailman. When I was a kid, I always saw the mailman. I lived out in the country. I always talked to the mailman. He had a mailbag. And my cousin's also a mail person. She delivered mail for 30 years. So what we want is your questions. If you've got a question, we're on like 8 versions of social media, and you saw that, how you can reach the mailbag, show@scotferrell.com. Go send it in. I've got mailbag questions right here. Question 1, this came from Chattanooga, Tennessee. All right. Beautiful place, nice folks in that city. And the Weston there, they're very sweet people. My husband does not have the ability to read the room when it comes to discussions. When daughters are present, he says things that shouldn't be said. Okay. I can only imagine what that means. A lot of people don't have a way to read the room. Okay, then I have to ask, do they have Asperger's? Is there some type of intellectual disability? Or are they just a knucklehead? I see whole families that can't read the room. Go to Walmart. Good grief. You want to see people who can't read the room? Knock yourself out. They can't read the whole shopping center. There's a lot of people like this. How do you handle it? You sit them down and talk to them. Because eventually this will cost you business. This will cost you relationships. It's already apparently interfering with your daughters. I can only imagine what's being said. If you haven't figured it out yet, I don't like to talk about a lot of sexual things on my show. It's like one time as a pastor, I did a conference for men on how to get laid. As you can imagine, I never talked about sex. They were so mad at me. They're like, I thought you said we're going to get laid. I did. Do you respect her? Do you love her? Does she feel it? Does she feel appreciated? Does she feel beautiful? And they were like, oh, you mean that's how? Oh. They didn't make the connection. Hey, guys, it's not 5 minutes and a place to go. Women need a reason, guys need a place. It really is true. And they were so mad at me, and then it clicked, and I said, if you'll do these things, you won't ever have to ask for no loving. And sure enough, they come back and go, hey, man, I think you unlocked the Holy Grail. I know. Thank you. So can't read the room. You got to talk to him. You got to pull him aside like you would a child or an employee and go, hey, man, just because it's in your head doesn't mean it needs to be outside of it, right? And I hear that from my wife all the time. She'll go, look, keep it inside. It does not need to be vocalized. My wife said, why do you do that? I said, okay, I want you to meet my family. So she met my family. Oh, you guys don't hold anything back, do you? I said, no, it seems to be a family-wide problem. All right, so the best way to do that is sit him down and talk to him and say, hey, man, cut it out, period. And then now let me get to the next one because we're starting to get a little short on time. All right, this is Cheryl from Woodstock, Georgia. Woodstock's done a phenomenal job of redoing their downtown, so it's great. Also up on the screen, you can see all the ways to get in touch with us, all the ways to watch us. So we want you to be able to get to the show anytime. Now remember too, if you feel like the show can help someone, make sure they have seen it. Also, if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. Also on Rumble. All right, so Woodstock. How can I stop my husband from trying to fix everything when all I want to do is tell him how I feel about something? Okay, keep in mind, men are fixers, women are talkers. Illustration here. A man loses his job, calls his buddies, they meet down at the pub, and when he walks in, they'll go, okay, you got your resume, send me your resume. Here's what we'll do. I'll do. They divide up the task, and within a week, he's got a job. Fast forward, let's do a woman. Woman meets ladies down at the pub, coffee shop. They have coffee. For the next hour, they'll talk about how she feels about losing her job. Men are action-oriented. Women are more, let's dissect by feelings. Men are going to slide the feelings out of the way and just get to what's the objective. Let's get it done as fast as humanly possible because I don't want to talk about the feelings. Here's what my wife and I do. My wife has a problem. She'll come home and look at me and go, husband. The word husband's a trigger, which means I'm going to talk. You're not going to talk. All you're going to do is listen. You're not allowed to speak. And if I never say anything else, you can't bring up the topic. You can't talk about the topic. I hug her, kiss her, we move on. However, we have another one that says coach. So what would normally happen is she'll say husband, so I have to listen to the problem as long as it takes to listen to it, as long as she wants to talk about it. And then she'll go coach. And then when she says coach, I can come with strategies on how to fix it. It's like, she's talking about somebody, so now I have to hate this person too, right? You're listening to them, well, I hate this person. Da, da, da. Well, I hate them now too because I have to because I got to side with my wife, right? But that works. Or sometimes my wife will just come and say, coach. She doesn't want to talk about it. She doesn't need to discuss it anymore. And she just wants a solution. And again, I talk about whiteboard all the time. I used to be a high school teacher. I'm used to using a whiteboard. I was a coach. I used a whiteboard in the locker room and on the sideline. I'll sit down and go, okay, here's the problem. Let's write out some solutions, and we'll write them out. She's a visual learner, so a lot of times I'll just write stuff out for her. No different than with my clients. At our consulting company, I use a whiteboard all the time. It's my favorite thing to do. I like to be able to plan things out because being a high school teacher, the kids needed to see it. And she goes, okay. Normally, within 30 minutes. Okay, so she'll talk 20. I'll get 10 to fix it or solutionize it. And then it's done. Everybody's happy. Nobody's angry. Nobody feels like they got bulldozed. Nobody feels like I wasn't listening because what will happen is once y'all start to talk about the problem, we've stopped listening and we're already strategizing for the answer. We're men. It's the difference between men and women. We're task-oriented, feeling motivated. Big difference. It's like in the movie As Good as It Gets, Jack Nicholson. The receptionist stops him in the waiting room and she goes, he writes books, romance novels. And she goes, how do you get here and here? He goes, I think of a man and I take away reason and accountability. And that's a fabulous scene because he doesn't talk about feelings. If you're waiting on a guy to talk about feelings, you're in the wrong business here. So I need to talk, give him a code word. Code word means he can't talk. Then if you want a solution or if you want to really build on this or get some solutions to it, you give him another code word. Now he has permission to speak. It's that simple. All right, let me get to the next question. Thanks so much for sending that in. All right, next question. Deborah from Charlotte, North Carolina, close to where I'm from. Women need details and men don't provide them. Why? We don't want to. I think Henry Cho does a scenario where he'll go, as you can tell, this is my cell phone. All right. He gets a message from somebody. Jeff Foxworthy talks about this all the time. It'll say, pray for so-and-so. And that's all the text message says. Pray for so-and-so. So we need to pray for Kevin. And the wife will go, well, why do we need to pray? No. The message said we need to pray for Kevin. Well, why do we pray for Kevin? What's wrong with him? No, I don't think you understood. The message said we need to pray for Kevin. Well, why don't you find out? Nope. The message said we need to pray for Kevin. I don't have any details. It's like a friend of mine was getting divorced. I think we went to play golf or something. So I come home. And she goes, how was golf? Oh, it was good. What y'all talk about? Stuff. And then I'll say, well, so-and-so is getting a divorce. And then 100 questions come after it. Well, why are they getting a divorce? What happened? What did he do to her? It's always, what did he do to her? It's never, what did she do to him? Well, what's going on? What are the kids going to do? How do the kids feel about it? To stop. At no time during 18 holes of golf did I ask one question. Why? I didn't want to talk about that. I didn't want to. I'm not going, oh my goodness, you're getting a divorce. How do you feel about that? Well, tell you what, let's pull the golf cart over and why don't we cry about it for a while? We'll talk about how we feel about it for a while and then we'll finish the 18 holes. No, that's not how that works. Dudes don't want to sit around and talk about somebody else's feelings. We don't really care about the details. Okay, that's cool. Unless you want me to fix this, I don't really want to discuss it. I don't want to ruminate over what's going on. I don't really care on top of it. You're not going to get dudes to do this. You got to remember, men and women handle life differently. God made us this way. Get mad at God, not at men. We're not detail-oriented people. I was laughing the other day. I said, if you get a guy that's got umpteen thousand details every time that you sit down for a conversation, when you ask for details, he's gay. Okay, so your husband's gay. There you go. Mystery solved. But a guy is not going to do that. No guy. My wife's given up. My wife does not ask me for details because she knows it's a lost cause. I'm not going to provide them because I didn't ask. It's like prior to my wife, I was going to marry someone who was a wonderful person. Now, should we have been getting married? No. And about a week prior, she called our wedding off. Okay, I'd already paid for it, so I had to eat all that money. But the funny thing was, about the scenario was, I was a high school basketball coach at the time. I walk into the gym on Monday. I think she called me on Sunday. We had a basketball camp starting on Monday. So I walk into the office, and there's 4 of us on the staff there. The other 3 guys are in the office, and at no time would any guy make eye contact with me. They're looking up, they're looking down, they're acting like they're working. Not one of them's working, they're just avoiding talking to me. And I said, okay, can we not do this today? I'm not going to want to talk about it. I'm not going to want any details. I don't want any help. And they all went, oh, thank God. Okay, now we can act like the elephant in the room just walked out. We don't have to talk about it. They were so relieved. I didn't want to talk about it. My heart's broken. I'm not getting married. Turns out it's the best thing for both of us. She's gone on and married somebody and had kids, and I've gone on and married somebody, and it worked out. We should not have been getting married. That's cool. The great thing about it is we didn't marry the wrong person, each other. We went and married somebody else. So when you want details, call a woman. I hate to break it to you. Are you trying to change thousands of years of human biology by making a guy spit out details? All you're going to do is get disappointed time after time after time after time again, making a guy tell you about details. It's that simple. But this is, believe it or not, as a pastor, I get this, and couples come to see me. And the wife is normally angry about the husband not providing. I've even had wives think their husbands were cheating on them because they would come back from an event and go, what'd y'all do? Oh, it's just stuff. What'd you talk about? Nothing, really. What are you hiding from me? Well, nothing. Watched the ball game, ate some wings. That's about it. Let me hit you on a big secret, ladies. when y'all ask if what are we thinking about, sometimes it's absolutely nothing. I hate to break it to you. We don't sit and ruminate over stuff. 2, when we go hang out with our friends, if we say we're watching the ball game, we're literally watching the ball game. We're not talking, because if the dude comes and he wants to talk, he can't come back and watch the ball game with us. It's like hunting. When you go hunt, you don't talk because it scares the animals away. So it has to be quiet. So no, there's no chit chat. We get in the truck, we put our guns up, we're unloaded, put our guns up, get back in the truck, turn on some music, ride back, not a lot of chatter. Same thing with fishing. You go sit in the boat, you're out there in the fresh air, you got the sunshine, it's wonderful, it's relaxing, got a nice breeze. You don't need to talk. There aren't any details. All right, so hopefully I've unlocked a mystery that it's been timeless. And now you are free to know that those details are not coming. All right. If you ever have any questions, we got all these avenues that are going to come up in a second of how you can get in touch with me. Also, you can go to my website, scotferrell.com. Remember, Scott is spelt with 1 T. I think my parents were either handicapped or trying to save money when they put my name down for Social Security reasons. But it's only 1 T. I do have a consulting company. We handle business, small cap, 50 million and under, and then we handle families. So what we want to do is get you the answers you need. If you got a problem, we got a solution, or we'll help you get one. If I'm not the answer, I'll get you to the answer. Same thing with this show. I'm going to have experts start coming on soon from anywhere from the media world, the music world, to the medical world, to the hair world, you name it. We're going to have people come on. My buddy Frank Tortorici's going to come on. He's probably one of the top fitness and nutrition guys in the world. Wonderful guy, wonderful wife, great family. You're going to love Frank. My upcoming guest will be one of the top people in the media world. Her name is Erin Saxton. We're going to get her on in the next couple of weeks. She's always funny. And every time Erin and I go out in public, we get into a lot of trouble because we make a lot of noise. And every time we go on TV, we seem to get in trouble too. So the producers always try to keep us under control. Thank goodness she will not be on the set. She will be over the airwaves, so you'll get to see her. All right. Next time we'll be together. We'll be right here. I promise to meet you here next time. Do yourself a favor this week and your spouse. Tell your spouse how much you love them, how much you need them, how much you adore them, and how much you couldn't live without them, okay? All right, I'll see you next time. Take care.